We have the threat of national bankruptcy, the destruction of the dollar, the runaway spending, the insolvency of the Social Security system, and then the undermining of our personal liberties. Just think how much has been sacrificed since 9/11. The real sad part is most of the legislation had been sitting around just waiting, and those who like this kind of thing said they were waiting for an opportunity, and they certainly took advantage of that, and tragically, we're in worse shape now. We're in worse shape because we are less free, and actually, we are more vulnerable. There were probably about 300 Al-Qaeda who wanted to do us harm, and in their way they were rationalizing, to them it made a lot of sense. But there are a lot more than 300 now. There are probably thousands, and they can't count them. And as long as we believe that we can use force to bully other people and promote our so-called goodness by starting wars, believe me, there's going to be hatred directed toward us. That is why foreign policy needs an overhaul. And some would like to believe that if we accept that foreign policy that we could be responsible for starting a world war. I would say that our current policy is endangering us. We are now occupying 2 new Muslim countries, and we're threatening to bomb and attack another one. I say we start as we would if and when we win, is that the first thing we take off the table is any nuclear option against the Iranians. Instead of us being the isolationists are in charge. We have less friends and more enemies than ever before. So what we need to do is come back, come out of those countries. It'll be a mess, but let them sort out the mess. More Americans don't need to die, and besides, we don't have the money to pursue it. So we need to return that country to the Iraqis. A commander-in-chief is commander-in-chief of the military, and I would like to remind everybody, a commander-in-chief is never expected to be the commander-in-chief of the people. The people are supposed to be in charge of their own lives. But a commander-in-chief does have responsibility to defend this country. And it is an awesome responsibility, and it should be done. Unfortunately, we're more vulnerable. Our defenses are down. Our troops are tired out. The equipment is worn out. There are equipment shortages. So we're weaker than before rather than stronger than before. So what we need to do is reverse that trend. A commander-in-chief could have the wisdom of taking our Navy, which is sitting on the borders of Iran, and just back away. Just think of what kind of signal that would do within 5 minutes. The Navy is moving away. We're not going to threaten you. We want to talk to you. We want to remove the sanctions. We'd rather sell you products than bomb your country. The real sad part is that on the stage with me, no individual is willing to change the policy, and they're locked in emotionally, and they're loyal to the president, they're loyal to the party. They think they're not loyal to our tradition, the Republican traditions. They're not loyal to the principles of our country. They're not loyal to morality, and they're not loyal to our Constitution. That's what we should be loyal to. You know, in a way, sanctions are an act of war because people die from sanctions, and we had had sanctions on Iraq for a long time. There's another neighbor that we have, not the best of neighbors, but I think our neighborliness could be improved if we wouldn't have sanctions against Cuba. Why don't we trade with Cuba? For 40 years, we've had sanctions on Cuba, and we said we were punishing Castro. It looks like Castro outlasted a lot of our presidents. So it's time that we use a different approach, the approach that we have used since we actually had to lose and leave in the humiliating fashion from Vietnam. Since we left, we've had trade with Vietnam. The president comes over here. We invest in Vietnam. There was no communist domino theory. China's become our banker, and we're at peace. What we achieved in peace with Vietnam is something that the French and the Americans couldn't achieve in 20 years with killing a couple million Vietnamese. Peace is the way to achieve victory, not through war. The founders of this country understood this well. They understood a lot of things. They understood monetary policy and a lot of other things that are very important, but they understood foreign policy as well. And that is why there is no authority in the Constitution to police the world. Matter of fact, there was no authority in the Constitution for presidents to start wars. And we need to make sure that is the case. So I can guarantee you, other than the fact that the commander-in-chief is in charge of the military, if we are attacked and you don't have enough time, you have an obligation to defend this country, but you have no authority to start a preemptive war. The issue of declaring peace, the responsible body is the Congress. That is the body closest to the people. So there should be a declaration of war. If a country threatens us, we go and we talk about it and debate it. We don't wait until we fight the war and then everybody's scurrying around, the politicians are scurrying around, and now they debate the war. It's a little late to debate the war now. They should have been debating it before the war. But if we have to, and there's a legitimate threat, and there's a declaration of war, everybody should be behind it. We should fight it, get it over with, and not have these prolonged political wars that go on forever. One of the most dangerous statements that I have heard from our administration is that the war against terrorism, and terrorism is undefinable, that the war against terrorism is going to last for a long, long time. That is only an excuse to have a war against our liberties here at home for a long, long time. This war against us in this country involves the changes of the law, sometimes just abuse of the law. But unbelievably, we have now institutionalized the notion that American citizens can be denied habeas corpus. This is a terrible trend. We have to reverse that trend and get back to the principle of habeas corpus. There's no room in a free country for secret renditions and secret prisons and tortures and violation of our privacy, the invasion of our homes. Now, today, they can search our homes, and if we tell somebody that they searched our homes, we break the law. We can be arrested for merely telling somebody else that the government searched our home. So this attack on our freedoms and our privacy is something that is a very, very serious problem. Now, ironically, what has happened is we have turned the Constitution on its head. In a free society, government was intended to be totally open. The people's privacy was to be protected. The responsibility of the government was to protect your privacy. But here we are today, the government invades our privacy and they do nothing more than protect government secrecy. It needs to be reversed.